I think it's really time that there was an open debate about the value of animal experimentation. And there was a letter written by Professor Colin Blakemore in support of the BK's opening of this beagle farm, where they will test on 2,000 dogs annually. It's painful and traumatic, and it seems to me in all of the evidence that I've read, and it produces absolutely nothing in terms of a value for human health and cure for human ailments.
Okay, but the expansion at B&K Universal happened some time ago, didn't it?
It's purely an objection in the first place to it being extended when it was first refused.
Right. Your open letter goes to Professor Blakemore, who is recognised as one of the leading authorities on this. What are your objections?
Well, the objection I have is that Professor Blakemore has often called for open debate and to share publicly his commitment to animal experimentation. And basically what I am doing, as well as many other people who are supporting this letter, is supporting his declaration that he is willing to have a debate publicly about this.
Okay. So I take it he's not responded as yet?
He hasn't responded as yet. I hope he will respond, because it's very clearly stated, in his letter that he's very much in favour of sharing this publicly and debating this publicly. There are a body of scientists who are willing to debate with him, namely Dr. Ray Greek, who would be his equivalent in this world of opinion, and I think it would make for a very, very interesting and informative debate for us in the public who really are looking for answers to this old science that we are constantly being referenced in terms of the value of animal experimentation, which seems, from everything that I read, to have no value for human illnesses whatsoever.
Are you 100% convinced that that there is no value whatsoever?
No, I'm not 100% convinced by that, because there are lots of arguments that are put forward by people who do experiment on animals that there is a value. So what I'm saying is, okay, if you are so convinced of that, debate it publicly, give your evidence, have it answered by someone who opposes that, someone who is on the same scientific level that you are, so that laymen like me and the other people who support this can understand what's being proposed and come to a conclusion.
Okay, which is very measured. I take it you're inherently against it, though. Your gut instinct is this is not a good thing. It's
my head instinct, because everything that I read, and in general, it is in relation to the predictors in terms of animal experimentation that should have at least a 90% success rate. In everything that I read, the best they ever achieve is about 38%, which is, not even as valuable scientifically as tossing a coin.
I see.
So it isn't. I mean, I am, of course, someone who is very, very concerned with animal welfare, and I'm very concerned with what can be achieved by the cruelty that is imposed on certainly beagles in this facility. I am concerned for the cruelty as far as they are concerned, and the lack of result as far as I can see it. So I would like someone to tell me that I'm wrong.
Okay, I suspect that the company concerned, B&K Universal, would respond to that saying there is no cruelty, and we will give them the platform if they want to respond, yes, as always. In
terms of the general argument for animal experimentation, the time now, in terms of modern science, the time has come for the exponents on one side or the other to actually have a proper public debate, and that's why I support EDM 66, and that is being supported by a huge amount of MPs in Parliament, because, science has moved on to such a degree, and we owe it to the animals to give them the benefit of that scientific advance, rather than holding these poor creatures in 30-year-old science that is not benefiting anyone, as far as I can see.
Okay. It is a fascinating argument, and I suspect most people would like to hear the argument played out by the experts.
It has to be played out by the experts. It can't be from a discussion I'm having with you, because obviously, as you may think, I have a vested interest because I care about animals.
Yes.
I care about human beings. I care about the fact that the people who are suffering serious diseases, the cures aren't being found, because it seems to me the experimentation is being wasted on a role model, an animal, that does not benefit the role model of a human being.
But is there not the possibility, Peter, that this animal experimentation will benefit humans, that there may be a breakthrough, and that
it's been going on for long enough.
That will make the difference.
What I would just say that it's imperative that there is an open public debate about that, so that people listening to me don't think, this is an old actor who cares about animals having a go, or, we're trying to mess up a system that's been in place for so long that is doing... Because all through my life, I've heard people say, what if it was your son or your daughter or your wife or your mother who was suffering, and wouldn't the answer, if it was found through animal testing, be worthwhile? And I would say, if the answer can be found, then, of course, I'd have to take a deep breath and say it's worthwhile. But that answer, I haven't received that answer yet. So this is about not emotionally approaching a subject, it's about intellectually approaching a subject and having equals debate it.
Let's talk to Louise Owen from Life on Earth, who are part of this open letter to Professor Colin Blakemore. Louise, thank you for your time this morning. Morning to you.
Good morning.
What would you like to say?
Well, as founder and director of the science-based campaign for Life on Earth, I would like to present our position. We are illustrated by the leading medical experts in the world who have proven that experiments on animals are not capable of predicting the responses of human patients. The British Medical Journal has reported this. The editor-in-chief of the British Medical Journal is Dr. Fiona Godley, and in her editor's choice, June 2014, she wrote an article highlighting the failure of animals as predictive models of human patients. Pharmaceutical companies write about this regularly and openly in the scientific literature. They know that animal models are failing their drug development process. And the reason we refuse to debate Tom Holder's Understanding Animal Research so-called debate at the universities, which Colin Blakemore mentioned in his statement, is because they were very low-level university student union debates between students, and there was no overriding authority in charge to be able to judge who was telling the truth. The open letter by Ricky Gervais, Chris Packham and Peter Egan, Leslie Nichol, etc., is calling for a public scientific debate supported by 138 MPs and climbing, which will be overseen by qualified experts, independent, highly qualified scientists that will judge the outcome. Now, this is a very different set of circumstances from the light student union debates that were organised by Tom Holder's Understanding Animal Research, and that is why Ricky Gervais and Chris Packham and Peter Egan are supporting this. It is a high-level hearing with debate conditions endorsed by Britain's human rights defence barrister, Michael Mansfield.
What are the chances of the government sort of granting this debate, and who would hold it, and where would you hold it? And
the government are in the clutches of the pro-vivisection vested interests, who make a great deal of money falsely claiming that animals have predictive value for human patients.
Well, that's part of the debate. You can't say that with any... That's part of the debate, isn't it?
That's part of the debate, but the point that I'm making is that the government is in under the influence of the vested interests at the moment, so they're not going to be granting this debate quickly, and they have a whole...
Well, we don't know that. You say lots of MPs have signed up for it, so there may be a parliamentary debate, and that may happen, Louise.
No, well... And absolutely, the Parliament situation is separate from the government. So I'm specifically answering your point about is the government going to sponsor this? And yes, they should do, but whether the actual government, in terms of the cabinet, the people that are in charge...
Is there a TV company interested in doing it?
We'd love the BBC to do it. Please, help us. Help us put this on. 2,000 beagle puppies are bred every year for excruciatingly painful experiments.
Well, we can't prove that. I've no evidence to suggest that. You may have evidence, but we would, we'd have to say we can't prove that. We cannot prove that.
No, but that's the point of the debate, is to actually have these high-level experts. The leading medical expert in the world is Dr. Ray Greek. He's partnered by Neil Shanks, who wrote the book, first book. But can I just say this? Neil Shanks is a top evolutionary biologist who's written the first book against creationism with a foreword by Richard Dawkins. Now, this is the science level that we're at.
Yeah, but again, that's a matter for debate. Do you think you've a real chance of getting this public debate? And I'm sure it would be in the public interest of that, of no doubt, which is why we're debating it this morning.
Thank you.
I've no doubt the debate is worth having.
Thank you, Bernstein. I appreciate that.
Which is why we're having the debate this morning. Louise, nice to talk to you. Thank you very much. Louise Owen from Life on Earth on the Bernstein Show this morning. What do you think?